The South African Civil Aviation Authority had contravened a number of its own aviation rules before the crash of its aircraft in January 2020.
Yeah, that's according to the final report released by the public, or to the public, I beg your pardon, by the Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau of Ethiopia. Our reporter, Tondani Takalani, has the details.
Captain Taviso Tolo, First Officer Tebuho Likalakala, and Flight Inspector Gugu Mnguni were on board the Cessna calibration aircraft when it crashed into the Otenikwa Mountains near George 2 years ago. A preliminary report sanctioned by the South African Civil Aviation Authority strongly suggested that the pilot was at fault for the crash.
There was no pilot error. There was malfunction of the aircraft.
And this is exactly what the final report has confirmed. It details that the aircraft wasn't maintained in accordance with the required annual inspections, which resulted in its certificate of airworthiness being rendered invalid. The report also reveals that the plane experienced 3 incidents before the fatal crash, during which an oil smell and smoke were detected in the cockpit. A faulty oil seal was diagnosed and replaced, but the smell persisted. Because of this, the crew aborted a takeoff just a few months before the fatal crash. One of the aircraft's engines was also replaced, a procedure which requires full inspection, but this wasn't done. First Officer Tebuho Likalakala's family is calling for accountability.
The aircraft was not airworthy. And then who authorized the aircraft to take off? Because if you take a decision that takes somebody's life, then it's a decision that actually results in you, I cannot tell it as a predetermined killing, but what I can say is that your action resulted in somebody losing his life, and therefore there should be consequence that must be taken. And then we are very concerned as a family that the very same people that took the decision are still in service of SACAA. Why are they not suspended now that the report is out and it shows gross violation of the regulations?
Transport Minister Fikile Mbalula says he still needs to study the report to make an informed decision on what action is needed.
We've got to follow that process because it is important in terms of fairness, in terms of privilege, also in terms of the legal prescripts that govern how we handle matters of this nature. So we've got to treat this process with fairness and then not with preconceived ideas that we have already made up our mind on it.
Meanwhile, the affected families have been given 60 days to dispute the findings of the report or make any additional contributions. This while they pick up the pieces following the tragedy, which has left them broken.
It took some time to get ourselves together. And my mom is still dealing with it as we speak, and I'm also in my own way. But we will, myself and my sisters, we're pushing through, and we're looking forward.
For Newzroom Afrika, Channel 405, I am Tondani Takalani.